Big up everybody and welcome back to Sports Century. I'm your host, Billy 209, and this is my thoughts on Raw last night. The Raw after WrestleMania, the first Raw of the brand new wrestling season, or brand new WWE season. Now, after WrestleMania night 2 and Oba beating Brock Lesnar, and we'll talk more about Brock Lesnar later on as it goes through, but we're going to talk about Oba and his presence. The way that he dominated his victory over Brock Lesnar, the fans were well and truly waiting for Oba to come out, and he duly obliged in his suit. The ruler left the mark down, an indelible mark on this Monday Night Raw, and there's talk of him having a title match against Roman Reigns later on in the year once he's established himself as being a major card player. There's talk of him having a title match against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns we'll talk about later on as the show goes on. This was then followed by the, how do I put it now? The debut of Ethan Page, the NXT star. He came through with his debut on Monday Night Raw because, like we all know, the first Raw of the year is a brand new start for new wrestlers to get promoted from NXT to the main roster. And he was the first one. He had a match against G-Von Evans. The match was quite high-flying, but G-Von was showing the effects of the ladder match that he had for the Intercontinental title. And you could see that he was it was heavily taped up. And during that match, we had Rusev come out and basically assault G-Von Evans. Well, G-Von Evans decided to come out of the ring and attack Rusev, first of all. And then what happened is Rusev followed him back into the ring, and Ethan Page was able to do his finisher and pick up the victory. Now, we keep seeing interference in WWE wrestlers, and that seems to be the major go-to at the moment. It's massive interferences on the outside affecting the match at the inside. Now, the one thing about WrestleMania, was the amount of adverts we had that kind of cut the segments of the wrestling that we enjoyed on night 2. Night 1, the adverts were a blessing in disguise because night 1 of WrestleMania was, like I said before, Paul, in another video. But when you look at this Monday Night Raw and the debut of Ethan Page, and later on we'll tell you about another debutant from NXT when we talk about Liv Morgan. But it was nice to see Ethan Page getting his chance, especially after his last match of NXT, where he was part of the fatal 4-way for the NXT title with Joe Henry, Ricky Saints, and with and like I said, Ethan Page, you can see that he's going to be like I have a feeling he's going to be like a Bobby Roode for me. But please leave your comments in the chat because I'd like to see what you think of it. But I got a sneaky suspicion that the WWE going to try and make Ethan into another version of Bobby Roode, and it just seems like the same storyline going round and round. But I'd like to have your opinions here because, like I say, I need your opinions to challenge mine so that I can get a new perspective, and hopefully it'll open my eyes and open yours as well at the same time. That's what we like debating on. The content that I like to do is I like to debate it, and I need that challenge. So thank you very much for viewing. And Ethan Page's first night on Monday Night Raw, and he beat G-Von Evans thanks to interference from Rusev. During the beatdown, Penta, the Intercontinental Champion, came down, and he received another beatdown and the Rusev finisher as well. The next match, during the course of Monday Night Raw, we also got a in-depth view of the relationship between Finn Balor and JD McDonough, and the years that they were best friends together, the years that challenged, the years that they went on the road together, and it was quite interesting. And we had Finn's perspective at the beginning, and later on as the show progressed, we had JD's version of their friendship and why he turned on him. But the next match we're going to talk about is Liv Morgan came out with the whole of Judgment Day, including JD McDonough and Bob and Dominic Mysterio. And during her segment where she was basically enjoying reveling in her championship victory over Stephanie Becker, we had a debut entry of Sol Ruka, the woman who finished third in Monday Night Raw. Now, don't get me wrong when I say this, yeah, I'm not slamming Michael Cole, but Michael Cole, yeah, I think he needs to do some research, because there's a part in there where he said Sol Ruka come second. She did not come second in the Royal Rumble. She came third. Tiffany Stratton come second, but later on he addressed his mistake, and fair play to him, because it takes a real man to admit when he's wrong, or a real person to admit when they're wrong. And this is where I'm going to pick up Michael Cole for that. But as the night progressed, as that match between Sol Ruka and Liv Morgan, I'm going to say it was a highlight of the night, to be fair. And there was a lot of interference again from Raquel Rodriguez and from Roxanne Perez. And Sol Ruka managed to pull it off her. She had an oblivion, the way that she avoided oblivion with a cartwheel. Because Sol Ruka, yeah, is one amazing athlete. And if you listen to her life story, what she did is that she was a gymnast. So she loves to do tumbles. She knows how to do tumbles. And this is where her finishing move came from. And you can see a lot of her athleticism when she wrestles. Now, like I said earlier, in that match, we saw all her athleticism. There was one moment where Liv delivered the oblivion. And basically, Sol Ruka just cartwheeled her way out of it, then going back into the corner and did her soul snatcher finishing move. Raquel and Liv managed to roll herself onto the outside to get away from the pin cover, and Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez basically were standing there trying to help Liv Morgan. And we see the athleticism of Sol Ruka. She done a plunger from the inside of the ring to the outside, wiping out all three of them. But as she wiped out all three of them, that's when Zarya, her opponent for tomorrow night, on her last night on NXT, in a street fight, basically came through with a spine buster on the outside. Sol Ruka barely made it back before the 10 count. And as she made it back into the ring, she received another oblivion, and Liv Morgan came away with the victory. So now we're going to have, and as Liv Morgan came away with the victory, she's going back up the rampway. That's when Stephanie Becker came back out again. So Backlash is in 2 weeks' time, and we might get a rematch of WrestleMania with Stephanie Becker versus Liv Morgan again, the return match. Now, the next thing on Monday Night Raw I'm going to talk about is the Vision, Logan Paul and Austin Theory. There was a segment in there where Paul Heyman came out and gave his thoughts about Brock Lesnar, which is what I mentioned earlier in the video, and his retirement. And it's a part where he says on Monday Night Raw, what happened in that video is past, present, and future. There's a picture of Brock Lesnar when it says present. What Paul Heyman addressed is he doesn't want it as present, but he wants Brock Lesnar at the forever part, where because he's no longer an active wrestler, or that's the storyline that's going now, he basically wants it to be essentially that how do I say it? Essentially that Brock Lesnar is revered and remembered as a Hall of Famer, and Brock Lesnar will be remembered as a Hall of Famer, as a Hall of Famer, and I'm guaranteed that next year he'll be in the Hall of Fame. We've got a comment. Big up, Ghost. How are you doing, mate? I'm learning a bit more now. Sorry, guys. Tune in, you tune out. I might get done for that one. I don't know. I hope not. Yes, he was. There it was mention of Brock Lesnar and his days in the UFC. I hope you can see me. I don't know if my camera's working. Give me 2 seconds. Technical difficulties. Why is it always technical difficulties on these things? Don't know if my camera's working. Show up. Hello. Sorry about that. Seems that every time I start this thing. Anyway, Brock Lesnar, there was mention of his reign in UFC as well as his time in the WWE. And fair play to Brock Lesnar, like I said, on the first WrestleMania night 2, and the way that he sold over across. You can see Ober's going to be the new beast incarnate. Yeah, unfortunately, my camera seems to be not working. I'm so sorry. I hope you can all hear me. We're going to try and address this in next stream. Sorry, Ghosted, mate. Right, but anyway, I digress. We talk about Brock Lesnar, and fair play to him for realizing his time was up and essentially stepping away from in-ring action. Because the last thing I would like to see of Brock Lesnar, yeah, would be to see the same thing that we saw from. Yeah, there was a video last night, MC Noodles, where Brock Lesnar, when they showed Brock Lesnar winning the title, winning the UFC title. Yeah, there was a segment last night where they showed Brock Lesnar winning the UFC title as well as the WWE title on multiple occasions. But we will talk more about Brock Lesnar later on, because there's a part when Roman Reigns comes out where he talks about Brock Lesnar. But as we continue, sorry about that. And from there, we had the segment of Heyman basically thanking Gunther for helping get the victory over Seth Rollins on the Saturday night. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Um, anyway, I digress. We were talking about Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins, and Paul Heyman reflected on his time with him crying with Wrestlemania. I have to give it a watch. When you see Brock Lesnar leaving his boots and his gloves in the ring, what are your thoughts on Brock Lesnar's possible retirement? Do you think he'll come back to SummerSlam in his hometown? Or do you think that it's going to be a proper retirement where he just stops wrestling now? Because some wrestlers carry on going. And the last thing you want to see, as you saw them in your pomp, is to see them basically a shadow of themselves. And this, for me, is why I'm pleasantly happy that Brock Lesnar decided to call time in his career. And with wrestlers like Oba coming through, he can afford to do that for me. But anyway, we will talk about Lesnar later on. But we want to talk about Seth Rollins and the Gunther storyline. Now, I thought the Gunther storyline was weak in the aspect that there wasn't much build-up between the two of them. And it was you could see that they swerved the storyline because of the injury to Braun Breaker. Now, Braun Breaker returned at WrestleMania, and he talks about it when he came out during the Vision promo. And like I say, Paul Heyman thanked Gunther for his victory over Seth Rollins. And essentially, Rollins then decided to come out. He got a beatdown from the Vision, especially Logan Paul and Austin Theory. And all of a sudden, we hear the Street Profits come out and make the save. Depends on his body, don't it? Don't know if his back's gone or something. Well, he's a lot slower than he was. And you can see in the way that his movements are, they're not as fluent as they should have been. And the match only lasted 5 minutes at WrestleMania, so just how much could he actually wrestle? And like I said, I don't want to see Brock Lesnar as a shadow of himself, really. But that's just me. Like I say, please put your opinions down in the chat and in the comment section. Because I want to hear your, independent of my thoughts here, what are your thoughts on this subject? Like I say, hopefully the camera will work next time. Unfortunately, things happen and I can't get on there. Now you can hear a bus going, distraction. Anyway, I hope you can all hear me properly. Next time I'll make it that I'm static and you can all hear me properly. Anyway, I digress. The next match here. Right, so they got a beat down. The Vision beat down Seth Rollins, and the Street Profits made the save. Now, I believe the Street Profits are going to have a match at Backlash against the Vision. And it'll be an interesting match because, like I said, we haven't seen the Street Profits in a long time. And the last time they were on Raw, they happened to be tag team champions. Yes, MC Noodles, we are going to have a proper in-depth view of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he's not just going to be the only one. We're going to talk about Bret Hart on this channel because I've been watching wrestling since WrestleMania 7. So I'm going to be looking to do a lot of videos. We're going to talk about the Click, the original Click, which is Shawn Michaels, Triple H, the 1-2-3 Kid, X-Pop. We're going to talk about Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, and we're going to talk about Diesel, Kevin Nash. And we're going to talk about how that group fundamentally created D-Generation X, and it also created the NWO independently. And it also led to the introduction of the main event Mafia, if you look at TNA as well. So we are going to talk about the Attitude Era and the Attitude Era and the time before that. But I digress here because we're going to end this with the Roman Reigns, because all night, the fans were bated breath, waiting to see what Roman Reigns was going to say as a new world heavyweight. Oh, I forget. Sorry. There was a segment where CM Punk came out and he addressed the WWE universe about his loss. And during that segment, he admitted that the better man won on the night, and fair play to Roman Reigns. And he said that if a title match came along, he would like to take it up again. His title matches don't just drop out the sky, I believe were the word that he come out of his mouth. During that segment, Cody Rhodes came out, and we might be getting a Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk match later on down the line for the WWE title. And it'll be an interesting match because, like I said, last week on Friday, it ended up turning out proper friends conversation. They've been mates for 20 years. But during the segment on Raw last night, you basically had Cody Rhodes coming out and CM Punk not taking his eyes off Cody's belt. So, would you be interested in seeing a rematch between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, or would you like to see a match between CM Punk and Roman Reigns again? Yeah, we're going to talk about the Dudleys, MC Noodles. We're going to talk about a lot of different factions, man. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about a lot of wrestling on this channel. Not just wrestling on this channel, because this is sports centric. We're going to talk about all sports, including the Commonwealth Games coming up. We're going to talk about the World Cup. We're going to have an in-depth view of France in the World Cup, because that's my team. We're going to talk about what players would fit the manager system, and hopefully we won't see a negative approach from Deschamps in the tournament. But anyway, let me end this show because you can't really hear too much and there's a lot of adverse effects going on where I am. Sorry about that. But yeah, we're going to talk about Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns come out to be addressed as the new World Heavyweight Champion. We saw the belts getting reshaped with the double R's on a video that was sent out by WWE over the weekend after last night's show. And we also had the Usos coming out with, I just like CM Punk's missus, so I heard she's on all the time. Yeah, AJ. Unfortunately, AJ wasn't on the show last night. I wish she was. She put up a decent performance at Wrestlemania, but it was time for Becky Lynch to come through, I believe. So Becky Lynch won the match fair and square for me, and thoroughly deserved to win. Thank you very much, Ghosted. But yeah, I'm going to talk about Roman Reigns. He came out of the Usos to address and be acknowledged as the new World Heavyweight Champion. As he came out to his address and spoke, and Usos pledged their loyalty to him and about to put the ones up, what happened is Jacob Fatu, after his victory against Drew McIntyre, came out to challenge Roman Reigns. Now, I am hoping, actually I am begging that they don't do the storyline of the Monday night main event Jey Uso again, because this is what happened at the start of Roman Reigns' last title reign. If you remember the 400 days, the 4-year title reign, he had his first opponent was Jey Uso. And I really don't want to see them put Jacob Fatu in that storyline again, because you want to see something you're loud and clear to him, Philly. All right, thank you, Absolutely. I don't know how clear I am because I'm on a public transport right now and the bus is a bit loud, so I'm sorry if you can hear it openly. But what I was going to say is Roman Reigns then picked up the challenge from Jacob Fatu and basically asked Jacob, are you sure you're ready for what you have to do? Jacob said, I want to challenge you because I want everything that you have. It's not that I need the title. I have to have the title so that I can make sure that my family is well secure. And like I said, this storyline sounds just so much like the main event Jey Uso storyline that it's like copy and paste all over again. And that's not what we want to see as fans. You want to see something different. To mix it up, yes, I would like to see Jacob Fatu winning the world title. But I think he needs to have the Intercontinental title first and make the step up from Intercontinental title and then go to the World Heavyweight title. And to have Roman Reigns basically lose it, I just can't see it. And plus, there's so many different matches that we can have, because there was talk last night of Roman Reigns versus Gunther at some stage, and Roman Reigns versus Oba. Now, Jacob had 2 versus Oba would be interesting. So would Jacob for 2 versus Gunther, but then you would want to see preferably Roman Reigns versus Gunther, Roman Reigns versus Oba. And plus during the segment with Gunther after Paul Heyman's thank you, Gunther had an exchange with LA Knight. So that could be a possibly start for Backlash. LA Knight versus Gunther. But this is what we want. Yes, this was on Netflix. This was last night on Netflix, because what I wanted to do, Noodles, yeah, was I've done the 2 nights of WrestleMania. And the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania is just as imperative, because the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania is the first Monday Night Raw of the year. And so therefore, it's a massive, it's basically a follow-on from WrestleMania, because WrestleMania is the close of a wrestling year. And Monday Night Raw is the beginning of that new wrestling year. So you've got brand new rivalries coming through, brand new wrestlers coming through. That's the hope of it. And it should be the same on SmackDown. And we should also get, hopefully later on down the line, we should get a, how do I say the word now? We should get some more new reveals on SmackDown as well, hopefully. But we'll talk. But what are your thoughts on the WWE right now? What are your thoughts on Roman Reigns, and who do you think should be the next number 1 contender? I want you to leave this all in the chat, and I want to, like I say, I want you to put some constructive criticism and constructive information into the chat, and then I can give it back to you, and we see where it goes from there. But as for this video, I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much. Yes, you do, Noodles. 100% you have to follow the storylines to appreciate it. And when you've watched some of the storylines from back in the day, it makes you appreciate some of the contents when it was released back at the time as well. Because some of the storylines in the Attitude Era were groundbreaking at the time, because they've never been seen before. Like the Stone Cold Beer Bar. That was groundbreaking, the 316 interview. But we will do a video on Stone Cold Steve Austin, and we will have people coming on. So if I know who you are, I don't mind having you on to come and talk about some of the wrestling from the past, because we're going to talk about some of that as well on this channel. But I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Sports Centric. Hopefully the camera will work. But adios.